Welcome back, and now it's time for On Point 2, and the On Point 2 starts with good news. Srinagar parliamentary constituency, which went to polling on Monday, has recorded a voter turnout of about 38%. This is the final figure that has come. This marks the highest turnout in the constituency since the 1996 general elections, when it saw 40.9% of the voters exercising their franchisee. In a departure from previous elections, Monday's polling in Srinagar was held without any boycott calls from any group. This Lok Sabha election marks the first general election held in Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370, and the increased voter participation bears testimony to Naya Kashmir standing firm. The high voter turnout is also a reflection of Kashmiris reasserting their faith in democracy. It also highlights the importance of peace, stability and development in building faith in the democratic processes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Kashmir on the encouraging voter turnout and said that Srinagar celebrated Festival of Democracy after decades.
इस पूरे चुनाव में अगर कोई पूछे मुझे कि मोदी जी सबसे संतोषजनक बात क्या लगी, तो मैं कहूंगा कल श्रीनगर में जो मतदान हुआ है, लोकतंत्र के प्रति जिस प्रकार से श्रद्धा व्यक्त की गई है, भारत के संविधान प्रति जो मोहर लगाई गई है, दशकों बाद श्रीनगर में चुनाव का उत्सव था। दशकों बाद श्रीनगर के चुनाव में इतना भारी मतदान हुआ और लोग उमंग और उत्साह से भरे हुए थे, और लोग कह रहे थे कि 370 जाने के कारण ये संभव हुआ है। लोग कह रहे थे मोदी के आने के बाद संभव हुआ है। इस एक घटना से ये बात साफ हो जाती है कि मोदी के काम की दिशा सही है।
It's a great development, and I am joined by Aditya Raj Kaul, my colleague, Lieutenant General KGS Dhillon, NSP Bath, former DGP, Jammu and Kashmir. But let me start with Aditya. Aditya, what has happened? How do you explain this turnout first?
Well, this turnout was very clear. It was clear the day the Indian government decided to abrogate Article 370 and bring in the grassroots democracy, and that is the Panchayati Raj system, the BDOs, the block development officials, and the grassroots democracy that was missing from the Kashmir Valley over the last many decades, that was restored. And I'm sure the two panelists who are veterans in every way possible, one is an army general who actually commanded Kashmir at the time of Article 370, and another who has seen the worst years and has suffered a terror attack also from the J&K police, will tell you the reality of Kashmir, which had almost become a security state, but over the last 5 years, the democracy is being restored. Now, many may question that it is only 38%. Why don't you condemn this? Why is 38% so low? 38% is not low. 38% is the highest in last 2 decades. That means the next time there is a state election or a Lok Sabha election or a Panchayati Raj election, the numbers would be much higher. So clearly, I think a sense of confidence in the common Kashmiris is being restored slowly. Of course, the government will have to take more steps. Of course, the government will have to bring in a consistency in its policy towards restoring democracy, bringing opportunities, getting more job opportunities, employment opportunities, sports activities and other activities there. But I think the kind of gap, the kind of isolation, the kind of marginalization that was being seen there or being felt is changing drastically. And that's what is important, because on the other hand, in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, we see violence, we see uproar, we see rebellion. In Kashmir, perhaps for the first time in last 30 years, not a single group had condemned or issued a boycott of the elections.
You made a couple of documentaries on Naya Kashmir.
Yeah.
If I may ask you, what is the Naya Kashmir? What is the Naya Kashmir? When I say this is Naya Kashmir, how do you explain it?
Where should I begin, Karthikeyan? Where should I begin? Now, many may say that, you're doing a propaganda for the BJP. This is not propaganda. And I'm not even mentioning the BJP or Prime Minister Narendra Modi. After abrogation of 370, For the first time in 35 years, we have cinema halls in the Kashmir Valley. For the first time in 35 years, we had a G20-like event happening, a tourism working group meeting, and participation of almost 20 countries. Unheard of, completely unheard of. And before that, you had multiple visits of foreign delegates, ambassadors, as well as European Union members inside Kashmir Valley, visiting Srinagar and various parts of the Kashmir Valley. We have access to the foreign press. Multiple delegations of the foreign press have gone there. That doesn't happen in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. So there is a lot of difference. Much more sporting activity is being seen. Recently, we had Sachin Tendulkar, openly visiting Kashmir Valley, not just prominent places, but actually playing cricket in Pulwama, the same place where the Pulwama terror attack took place. So I think the common Kashmiri is getting a feel of Indian democracy. He's getting a feel of Indian secularism, Indian democracy, Indian constitution, and what are opportunities the Kashmiris have as Indians first.
Okay. General Dhillon, how do you explain this turnaround? Sir.
Good evening, Karthik, and good evening to all your viewers. See, this turnaround or this type of voter turnout, if you go a little back, in 1989 general elections, the Srinagar constituency, which we are talking about, went uncontested. Single man filed the nomination. Nobody contested against him because there was a boycott, because there was fear, because there was threat of terror. And down the ages, for last so many years, other than 1996, there has been very marginal voting in this. Today, after Article 370 abrogation and the peace having returned, the common Kashmiri, we must understand, we all are aware, common Kashmiri is a very aware person. He is politically very alive and active. When you speak to a common Kashmiri, even in a remotest of the village, he is aware of his political dynamism which is playing around. So he wants to exercise his franchise, he wants to exercise his political will. Unfortunately, because of the situation, because of the terrorism, he was not able to do it. And the security, he was not feeling secure to go and vote. Today, every Kashmiri is feeling secure, and the people who were issuing threats earlier have been marginalized. No one is listening to them. So it's a good thing. It's a good change. And I agree entirely with the Aditya Raj call. It is a new Kashmir. I'll put it this way. It is a Kashmir which is re-emerging, which is Kashmiris are reasserting themselves. So it's a very welcome change. And in some constituencies, the voting has been even more than 50%.
Okay.
That's as good as national averages in most part of the country. I think from my side, I congratulate each and every Kashmiri for coming out and voting and joining the festival of democracy.
Okay, Mr. Vaid, there is an economic angle when it comes to prosperity. There is a social aspect. There is a political renaissance. Economic and social renaissance has taken place, but new political parties have not come up. Naya Kashmir has done very well. Is that possible, or do you think? I know I've asked a very straight political question, but new political systems have emerged throughout this country. Do you see hope for a new sort of political players coming out, the third pole?
Good evening, Karthike. I completely agree with General Dhillon and Aditya. In fact, there's a tremendous change on ground, and 39% is a very respectable percentage. And as far as your question goes, we have two parties coming up, which is new dimension this time. Sajad Loan's party, that is, I think, new entrant in this, and Altaf Bukhari. Altaf Bukhari, his Apni party. Now, these two new entities have entered in this election, and I'm sure with the process of Panchayat election, three-tier taking place, there are in future possibilities of emergence of new outfits of political parties coming against. Earlier there used to be only National Conference and PDP, and I think this is a good development, healthy development for a democracy. And you see, while Pakistan is denying the fair election to its own people, the so-called Azad Kashmir, which is only in namesake Azad, otherwise it has all ingredients of being the other way around. And it is people of Kashmir are very, very, as General Dhillon was saying, they are politically very, very aware and very educated in this, as far as politics is concerned, very aware about what's happening around the world, and they see what's happening in Pakistan.
This
And
time, terrorists could not get an upper hand. This is something which I really
I'm-
appreciate,
I'm-
the sort of hard work which the security forces have done there.
Yeah,
How has
yes,
they made it possible, sir?
I'm coming to that. See, Kartike, if Prime Minister recalls, I had, when I was DGP, I had shown him a picture how threatening videos were being circulated from across to ensure that people do not go for voting. And in earlier elections, these instructions used to come from across, and how terrorists were giving threatening calls. The Hurriyat and separatist politics, they used to go openly all across Kashmir Valley and campaign against people coming out and voting, boycott Indian elections, all band calls. So that those things are missing after abrogation of Article 370, and that is why today people are feeling free to come out, and they are not feeling the threat of politics.
Aditya, there is one thing which is called security grade. The question which I asked was, when Ram Madhav was the General Secretary in charge, there was a concerted effort to create third political sphere. Can you just take us through, do you think that journey will be able to sustain itself, or we will have two dynastic parties holding the pole position in Kashmir with the third dynastic national party?
Overall, post 370, the geopolitical and the political landscape of Jammu and Kashmir, India and Pakistan has completely changed. The relations have changed, bilateral as well as trilateral, if I may say. What we see is the creation of a new party, the Apni party of Altaf Bukhari, a breakaway from the PDP. On the other hand, we see, of course, the People's Conference, Sajad Lone, a former separatist, contested multiple elections. He was a minister in the BJP-PDP government as well. He had ambitions of becoming a chief minister as well. As you recalled, Ram Madhav had a close association with Sajad Lone as well. But the question is,
but I regularly see him in Khan Market. That's another story.
Yeah, he has a house. Sajad Lone has a house in Nizamuddin, just like Umar Abdullah.
Okay.
So I think they are frequent visitors. They call New Delhi their second home. So the
good.
question that is good, absolutely good, and should be maintained by other leaders as well, including Mehbooba Mufti. But the question is that you can't rule out NC and PDP completely.
Okay.
PDP, of course, with their participation in the election, and of course the government with BJP has had a major negative image in Kashmir Valley. But the National Conference is on a very strong wicket in Kashmir at present. Yes. If there are assembly elections that happen, I think National Conference will easily get 20 to 25 seats, just like the BJP has a stronger wicket in Jammu. Who knows? Perhaps National Conference and BJP can come together. Of course, there's no question of elections right now. There is a Supreme Court ruling saying that by September in 2024 elections should be held. I'm not sure personally that state assembly elections will be held, but certainly NC and PDP cannot be ruled out. But certainly there is a new politics that Kashmir desperately wants, not the politics of hate, autonomy, or self-rule.
General Dhillon, yes, it's time to celebrate, not to ask too many, not to recount too many negative things, but these are the two issues which they are very close to me. So I asked them. One, I don't think any development of Kashmir can be, there cannot be any Naya Kashmir without Kashmiri Pandits. Naya Kashmir needs to imagine Kashmiri Pandits, Kashmiri Sikhs there. And the second part is this disturbing phenomena of lone wolf killing in the valley, whereby those who are part of the economy are getting attacked. Tourists can come and go, you spend money and go. But those who become part of the value system there economically, they are being hit. I find it disturbing.
Yes. No society is complete without all the ingredients, the original ingredients of that particular society or community or place or state. Kashmiri Pandits are a life vein of Kashmir, Kashmiriyat, the homogeneity which existed. So Kashmiri Pandits have to return, we should not be in a hurry and pass the judgment. It has taken 35 years for the situation to come to where it has come today. Let's wait. If the East Germany and West Germany can unite, I think Kashmiri Pandits one day will go back to their homeland. So that is one.
But General, their
Secondly,
journey has been
from-
pretty tough. It took them more than 25 years to for the people to accept that there has been a genocide there. It's like people don't understand that the sort of atrocities not committed in Afghanistan. I'm very fortunate enough to go there a number of times, and to the Gurudwara which is there in Kabul, and the time it gets attacked repeatedly, and every time it has to be I don't know how many people are there in that Gurudwara. So that's my point. Kashmir today, it's functioning in a wonderful way, but the minority has not been accommodated, which are Hindus and Sikhs. That's my limited point, sir. Not being negative, but a limited point.
I agree with you. I think at that time, the state failed to provide protection to its subjects or its citizens. And that is why what happened, it happened. It's the most, I was a young captain in North Kashmir in January 90, when the infamous date of 19th January 1990. So I have seen a bit of it in bits and pieces. But what happened is, I absolutely agree with you. It was a selective killing, it was a mass exodus, it was a genocide, and it was targeted. And there are not two ways to mention it, there are not two ways to explain it. We got to be very blunt about it, and we got to accept it. Yes, the state failed to provide protection, and now we are returning to normalcy, I think, and I wish and I pray that sooner than later, Kashmiri Pandits will go back to their homeland, and there will be peace and, sort of tranquility in beautiful place called Kashmir. Having said that, now let me touch on that single wolf point which you made. When terrorism was at peak, the single wolf attacks were not happening because terrorists could hit at will. Terrorists were calling the shots. Now that they're down and out, the moment they enter a village, they are reported and the information comes, then the security forces launch an operation and eliminate them. Now Pakistan wants to remain in news. Pakistan wants Kashmir to remain in news. Now that they know where they can do it in a big way, so easiest way is to pick up an unarmed civilian, innocent, who is not at times not even a state subject or not even a citizen of Jammu and Kashmir, and hit him. Poor chap cannot even retaliate, but it makes the headlines. It makes headlines in national media, it makes headlines in international media, and it does affect the tourism inflow, it does affect the economy in some way or the other. So that is where Pakistan will do everything within its powers to make sure Kashmir remains in news.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Vaid, I have got 2 minutes. A closing remark from you on Naya Kashmir.
See, the biggest change which I see in Naya Kashmir is the absence of fear, which used to be there. That is actually what was required for a normal, healthy democracy, healthy developing economy, fair tourism, and all the development activities taking place. And this fear factor, which was actually existing, if you go back to 90s and 2000s, that is actually to a very, very large extent removed. And that's new confidence which has come up. And I can list number of parameters as far as stone pelting, terrorism is concerned. I think let's not go into that, but tremendous change on ground. The terrorist numbers have come to just 2 figures, and even they are on the run. And I think the security grid is doing wonderful job, and that's what we must strengthen further and ensure that even this modules of lone wolf attacks, which Pakistan wants to just create again that fear factor in Kashmir Valley, should not succeed. And I think that's what is being done by our people, everyone working there.
Okay, and in the end, I would just say that I think the story of Naya Kashmir is a story of hope, and Naya Kashmir is a story that the things can actually change. This is how I would interpret Naya Kashmir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me. Thank you, General Dillon. Thank you, Mr. Vaid, for joining me on this story of Naya Kashmir and a fantastic turnout that took place in the valley. It was very, very heartening. It was very, very promising. And I would say that if the trend continues, maybe we'll find that the people who have left find themselves reintegrated in places which belong to them, not as a sense of mercy, but as a sense of right. And I think that is true reconciliation. So this is all in the second on point, but as I promised, I leave you with 7 more on points. Good night.